chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome, one and all, to our family near and far. Yes, welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Making sure everybody hears me here this evening. Yes, the Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. It's good to be back with you this evening. And yes, I am pleased and proud to say we got a sponsor. Yes, tonight's episode of Sabrina Speaks is proudly sponsored by Bridgepoint Immigration Consulting. We'll be launching this May with 25 years of Cayman Islands immigration experience. Yes, Bridgepoint will be there to guide you with clarity, truth, and professionalism as you navigate your immigration journey. And they will also offer a full suite of corporate services to support families, business, and individuals across the Cayman Islands. So we got to thank our sponsor for their kind sponsorship. Yes, because tonight on Sabrina Speaks, we will be breaking it down. Yes, breaking it down, taking it step by step, little by little. And what I'm talking about is the Auditor General's concerns that have stirred national conversations and the new immigration regulations as well. We will take them. This may actually go over 2 or 3 days, okay? We will take them set by set. And these regulations are going to take effect as of May 1st. Now, I do see I think it's an Instagram or a Facebook post going around with someone who's the owner or someone speaking as an employer in a janitorial industry. I will do my best to play that, share my screen with you to let you see what employers right now are facing. And it's quite interesting. You can hear the pain in that individual's voice, but I will be sharing that with you a little later, as long as my system continues to work with me, to let you know how it all ties in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know how we do it here. This isn't about politics. It is about clarity, accountability, and understanding how these changes affect every one of us. From the article that was written by CMR highlighting the Auditor General's concerns, that's why we're going to break it down here for you this evening. But please remember that the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and or participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for your specific concerns. Now, Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented here. And our number to be a part of this discussion, which I know you guys are always so active, thank you all for commenting, is 345-936-8255. To be a part of the discussion, you can call that number as well. You can send us a message by WhatsApp. I keep that WhatsApp anonymous, of course. unless you give me the okay to say otherwise. But if you want to give us a call, that's the phone line to call as well. Please note that if you're calling me on WhatsApp and someone calls directly, I am not able to take the direct call or vice versa. And if you even want to join in on the call by WhatsApp, I have to add you. So what you do is to WhatsApp, you message me and say, I would like to join, and then I'll do at least 2 at a time. All I ask for you to do is to be respectful and try as much as possible to keep it within the context of what our episode is about. Fridays are open mic Fridays. Anything goes. But so far, so good. As long as it's respectful, you are more than welcome to be a part of this discussion. And also make your comments, make your suggestions on whatever platform you're streaming us live from. Again, all I ask is for you to remain respectful at all times. I think that is the power of this space, because all voices, all opinions matter. But yes, let's get straight into it, because I am expecting, I see Connie coming in here with her lovey-dovey. Yes, I see it, girl. Thank you for sharing. That one's beautiful. Let me upload this until I get there, because I want to go into the weather forecast for this evening. Beautiful. You could become a photographer by the end of this, girl. National Geographic could be looking for you. But lots are in store here for you this evening. As I see you all coming in, please don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family. Sabrina Speaks is live, and we're keeping it real here with respect, of course, as we continue to elevate, be educated, open up for thought-provoking discussion as we learn in this space. Yes, but let's just take a look at our weather forecast for this evening. Compliments of our friends there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Here we go. The synopsis is calling for a few isolated showers can be expected due to the remnants of a late season frontal system that is present across the Cayman area. Now, moderate winds and seas are also in the forecast. Radar imagery shows some showers developing to the western parts of the islands, moving to the southwest with general wind flow. The forecast for tonight is calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall near the upper 70s. Winds will be northeast 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Now, tomorrow it calls for partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise near the mid 80s with a heat index of 92. Winds will be northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. There will be a low tide this evening at 8:29, a high tide at 3:41 a.m., and another low at 10:19 a.m. tomorrow. Sun will set this evening at 6:44, and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 6:03. Now, the outlook is calling for a chance of sporadic showers due to a low-level instability, lingering moisture, and the presence of some upper-level support. Also, a decrease in winds and seas is expected as the high-pressure system weakens over the western Atlantic Ocean. There you have it. That wraps up our weather forecast for this evening. For all of my boaters who are a little bit disappointed, we had beautiful weather on Sunday. Oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, we see those gusts that are out there picking up, and I don't mind it. The temperatures have dropped. Definitely, I feel a difference. And I was enjoying the cool breeze today as well. So for all of you who are loving it, I know my boaters probably don't based on where part of the island you're from. But yeah, I am enjoying it. And I'm quite sure all of those who are definitely just fretting about what our energy cost is going to be in the next couple of weeks, if not days, that's probably already racking up. Yeah, let's just see what's going to happen there. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah, so there we have it as these images come in for our next segment. Just let me line them up here for you. And I will be going into the news, making our headlines this evening. It's a shortened version because we got a lot to unpack. And I see where Dora the Explorer, Sandra, is off jet setting somewhere. And I saw that little video that that live. She's jet setted off already to the sister islands. So let's see. I don't know. Maybe she'll break it while we're live here. I'm going to keep tabs on the channels to see what she's about to break. But if we get it, we will let you know once we're live. Let's turn our attention right now to the news segment here on Sabrina Speaks for this evening. Chief Fire Officer Dwight Randy Rankin has issued a message of thanks following last week's landfill fire. Now, he praised the Cayman Islands Fire Service officers for their tireless work throughout the operation, calling their professionalism and resilience outstanding. Rankin also extended appreciation to partner agencies, including the RCIPS, 911 Communications, EMS, the Cayman Islands Regiment, Hazard Management, the Red Cross, and multiple government ministries for their coordinated support. He further thanked organizations and individuals who provided food and assistance to crews on the ground and expressed gratitude to the Cayman Islands community for their patience, cooperation, and prayers during this response shows a true community effort. And we too, here on the Sabrina Speaks family, would like to always thank you for all that you do. And we appreciate all of our frontline men and women who give of service. Thank you. Thank you so much. Other news today, we are seeing where the Cayman Islands government has rolled out, the Cayman Islands government has rolled out a major improvements to its website, making it faster and easier. That's the Lands and Survey Department. And users to find the information that they need much easier. Now, the redesigned experience includes a new dashboard, an updated document library, and improved access to key services and resources. Officials says that the upgrades were developed with users in mind, focusing on clarity, navigation, and confidence. Residents are encouraged to explore the new features online and share which updates they find most helpful. So your feedback is also important as they continue to evolve this space. Since we're going into that digital space, might as well you give your feedback from now. Turning our attention into international news this evening, over to the UK. In Britain, lawmakers have approved a landmark proposal that will introduce a lifetime smoking ban for younger generations. Now, the new law will make it illegal to sell or supply tobacco products to anyone born in 2009 or later, creating a permanently smoke-free age group. Now, officials says the measure is aimed at reducing long-term health risk and preventing future generations from becoming smokers. Other international news making headline this evening is that it's affecting even travel. Lufthansa, yes, German airline Lufthansa says that it will cut 20,000 short-haul flights this summer, warning that soaring fuel prices have made more routes unprofitable. Now, the airline says the reductions will mainly affect regional and European services during the peak travel months. Lufthansa stressed that long-haul operations will not be impacted, and passengers affected by cancellations will be offered rebooking options. The carrier says the cuts are necessary to protect financial stability amid rising operational cost. And yes, can you imagine? Listen to this. The war is even affecting certain companies. And what I'm talking about is the world's largest condom manufacturer, Carex, says it will be raising prices globally by up to 30% as the ongoing conflict in Iran continues to disrupt supply chains and drive up raw material costs. Now, the company, which produced billions of condoms of each year, says latex packaging and transportation expenses have all surged since the start of the war. Executive warns that customers should expect price increases across major markets in the coming months as the industry faces mounting production pressures. So you see how far-reaching this thing is? Oh my God. And as we end the news segment this evening here on Sabrina Speaks, let's end it with the market report. U.S. markets closed today mixed. with the S&P 500 ending at $7,137.90. The NASDAQ at 24,657.57, and the Dow finished at 49,490.03. Tech stocks led the gains ahead of major earnings from Tesla and IBM, while AT&T ticked higher after releasing its quarterly results. Across the Caribbean, the Trinidad and Tobago Composite Index closed at 965.45, with over 332,000 shares traded. The Barbados Exchange reported light activity, and the Eastern Caribbean market held steadily with minimal movement. That ends this evening news and market report right here on our international, what day it is? Earth Day. Thank you all for joining us. It's good to be with you this evening, and I'd like to send happy birthday shout outs to anyone who's celebrating a birthday today or wedding anniversary or just celebrating life. From all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks family, we want to celebrate with you, and we wish you nothing but the best. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are also with those who are mourning the loss of a loved one. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, 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 one and all. This is Sabrina Speaks. We're broadcasting Monday to Friday from 5 until 7 from the beautiful Cayman Islands. We know that some of you asked where we're from. Yes. And to all of our family streaming us from the UK, good morning, almost. I'm quite sure it's almost midnight if it's not over midnight already, right? Good morning to you, good night, good evening to wherever you are. And it's good to have you join us. Connie Bonnie is in the house. Yes, a kinder, gentler world. Jimbo is also here as well. Marshall is in the house this evening. Yes, yes, yes. It is good to see you, Jimbo, in the house. Yes, Dawn is also here. And Connie shared with us some, how she do her little thing here in the evening. Yes, yes, yes. Let's get these up and going for you. She shares the flower. She's sharing flowers of the day now. These are so beautiful, though, Connie. You really got a green thumb. Let me tell you, you're good. I read you. Just let me get them up here. We got a lot of stuff that's going on in the community as well. I'll just load these up. I want to let you know of a huge yard sale that's going to be taking place this Sunday, and also the upcoming free concert. And we want to invite the entire public to come out in your numbers to support that. There's no reason about the entry fee because it's free. It's free. But you know what? Before we share these beautiful flowers, that's one of them to give you a tease. Yeah, let me just let you know about this. This is a huge, huge yard sale that will be taking place on Sunday the 26th. Yes, from 9 until 3. Everything must go. Now, you can find things from as low as 10 cents, or you're even able to make a fair offer. Now, if you haven't been to the Eastern Districts in a while, you use this opportunity to go out there, drive out there, enjoy the views, get yourself some bargains on household items, kitchenware, and grilling. Grilling, all you grillers, it's summer. Also home decor, clothing and footwear, even stuffed animals. Yes, Christmas decorations as well, CDs, books, and lots more. So this is taking place this Sunday, April the 26th, 349 Austin Conley Drive. That's not on the seaside, on the land side, across from Ocean Frontiers. To take advantage of all of these great things that we're seeing here. And who to tell? Name your price. You never can tell what you can get away with. So we'll be promoting this for the rest of the week and doing a gentle reminder post. I'm aiming to do that as well over the weekend so that you can see it circulating on the Facebook page so that you don't forget. And okay, so this is a big yard sale that's going on. When last have you gone anywhere and got anything for 10 cents? Like, really? You got to check it out. Drive East, 349 Austin Conley Drive in East End this weekend for this huge yard sale. And yes, we are telling you the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture and Heritage presents Threads of Our Traditions. Free gospel concert is going to take place on the 2nd of May. And this is a part of our entire celebrations here in the Cayman Islands for the entire month of May. Like I said, the admission is free. as we continue celebrating the story of who we are as Caymanians. And there's a headliner there that's going to be at this event, this concert that will be at the agricultural grounds, and it kicks off at 6:30 until 10. Miss Tasha Cobbs Leonard is going to be the headliner. And also we're going to have the Cayman Islands folk singers and other local artists as well, local acts that are going to be performing. So make this an evening to come out. You don't have to worry about an entry fee. Bring your family out there, and let's celebrate this whole month of May together. Yes, and Connie shared with us, these are some orchids that she has around the place. And this is a desert rose as well that she's sharing with us. And she's sharing all of these other goodies. The yellow one was a desert rose. And then there's a healthy orchid that I saw her had here. Let me see if I upload that. This one is beautiful. I can't wait to see this. Now, this one should be beautiful. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So it's going to be interesting when this one actually blooms, what that will look like. But yeah, these are the flowers of the day. Thank you, Connie, for that and sharing these with us. And you know who's coming up next, probably? Damian Henry, with his word of the day. So thank you, my loyal supporters, fans and supporters, for just creating content. You're becoming content creators as well. Yes, so Jim is sending you, whenever he sends that icon or that little emoji, whatever you call it, he's sending that one for you. I either get the clicking champagne glasses, Connie, or I get the rose. Just making it clear. So he's sending you what you love. Hey, Marshall, sending you some Cayman love all the way over there in North Carolina. See there, Connie? I told ya. See, I got the clicker. Donna's in the house. It's so good to see you all. This is so funny. I could read you guys like a book. Next, now, I see where Aliano got thrown to the back of the classroom this morning. That was interesting. How the teacher just threw you to the side. OMG, Aliano. Gotta love you, though. One thing with you, you're loyal. You're loyal to the CMR platform. Damian Henry, good evening to you as well. For sending you some Cayman love over there. And let's see what you got for us today. Growth must be chosen again and again. Fear must be overcome again and again. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Thank you so much for that. See, I got your time. I know you were coming. Thank you for sharing that. And again, for your loyalty and for just keeping up with us here and sharing this content, your words, your inspiration. The APB has been put out for real, Alfred, who's been very quiet for the record. And people are asking, where is Alfred? A little peekaboo shoulder action going on tonight. Got to do a little thing. I'm just running out of tops. I mean, for pretty much one entire year, you kind of go through everything. So yeah, some of these things I just go out with, but I'm just showing them off again. So I just showing a little peekaboo. You seeing my little my hammock strap? You're something else, you know. Oh my gosh, you're a joker. But yes, it is good to be back with you here. Connie. Oh, Siobhan. Siobhan is missing. Yes. She probably cooking some Cayman style beef. Oh, Siobhan, when she come, she soon turn to. The topics are gonna get a little spicy coming in the next couple of days. I expect certain people to call in. But again, you know how it is. Each person, they have their topics that they weigh in on and all that good stuff. So yeah, but Siobhan, APB is out on you as well. Hey, Carol, it's good to have you commenting and here in the house. Live Happy is also here. Look who's showed up. Good evening, blessed Wednesday to you from Andrew, the one, the only. Yes. Desert Road is not mine. Oh, only the pink. Okay. Yeah, you see, I got other people contributing, so I'm getting in trouble. What a mess I'm in. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see it now. I see it. Yes, I got other people contributing. So this is not yours. Yes, you're quite right. You know, you're right, my friend. And neither is this. Mm-mm. So, yeah. Let me tell you, you guys are green thumbers. I just love all of what you're sending. Nevertheless, so Connie, you got competition. Bottom line, that is it. I just love it. And you love it too, right? Because it just shows that you all are going along with what we're doing here. And that means the world to me. Yes. What you say, Connie, I think AI messed you up this evening. AI, probably. I got a lot of information coming in, you see, and I was building and trying to do content and all that good stuff. So, oh my gosh, it's coming in from all angles today. You must, Melita, how are you? What's the topic this evening, TD? We're going to dig into the Auditor General's report, and then we're going to segue into the breaking down the immigration regulations that actually are going to now, as being widely reported, take effect on the 1st of May. And what that means. Remember, there was a clarion call to know what the regulations were saying, but some of the concerns highlighted by the Auditor General is worth actually saying, recapping, so that you all will understand what it means. And I felt starting that off with that and then highlighting the regulations. There was a video as well that is in circulation with someone just saying, look at what this law is causing. Now people are pretty much asking to be released without little to no notice, is what I'm gathering from their employers, so that they're not locked in to remaining with their employer for 2 years under whatever. They want to be released. And this employer is saying in the video that it's not that they're not paying their staff, paying medical, paying pension, paying all of those things, but what does that do when staff are opting to leave and pretty much demanding release letters? Because remember now, until May 1st, you can exit, you can do a MIA. And so a lot of staff right now, or this particular company, is feeling the pressures where they're saying, their staff is just exiting because they don't want to be caught. And I'm paraphrasing, but I want to share my view in that regard to let you know what that is trying to say. And I'm hoping that me and the sharing thing don't normally work, but I'm hoping it comes through fine today. Jim, she is government. You cold. Oh, you cold shoulders. Oh, Lord. Did you behave? From Donnie. Yes, I figured that. Yes, Donnie's garden. So that's Dawn. Those other ones are from Miss Dawn. Yes. Hey, Miss Dorothy from the US. Good to have you with us. Miss Melita is saying 2 ambulance heading east, tailing each other, praying all is safe. Yes. So there we go. Look who pops up. Ooh, must be the topic. Good evening. Look who pops up. You have been MIA for a while. Welcome, and you're live on the show. Must be the topic.
Well, thanks very much, Sabrina. You see, because in Cayman these days, you see, if you don't call in for a long time, they might say, well, this man been arrested, or maybe he's been deported.
Oh, yeah. Who shut him up? Who muzzled him? About some will be saying, thank you, Jesus. And others would be like, oh, my God, where is he? So what the heck?
What happened?
Yeah, what the heck?
It reminds me of the teachers, like when a student sort of like is it too late and so on, before they think about them missing class, they think about whether they are safe and so on and so forth. But otherwise, I've been, of course, listening, but not always calling in. The topics are, of course, very, very important. There's something I've been meaning actually to call you, as well as to call Sandra. But I'll have to call you first, because sometimes when Sandra is on, I'm too busy in the afternoon. I listen to her, but then I can't call in because, see, you want to talk about accountability with the Auditor General. I think that's an issue. I was reading I think in the report there, like something like 14 or how many recommendations, there's a number 4 in there. They said that they are just not being carried out. And I
Correct.
think to me that's really that's really a problem because I mean, in a lot of these issues, we all know what the rules are, right? Sometimes when the rules, like we don't know what the rules are, and the Auditor General says these are the rules,
Right.
then our job is to ensure that the rules are obeyed. But what I really wanted to talk about and didn't mean to talk about is the editorial. Also has to do with the accountability. The editorial that Sandra did on her case. Now that the case is over, we can speak a little bit more directly about it. First of all, that editorial was very good. It was educational for anybody who is not sufficiently knowledgeable about how those court systems work. It was good also to give it at the time that she gave it, because it's very difficult sometimes to interest people in something unless you are talking about certain rules around an event that has happened. Like in this case, if you wanted to talk about the Auditor General, but if there was no report out, people don't pay attention. They will pay attention. We will all pay attention because it is around an event that has happened. Now, the issue really about that is I find, judges and magistrates and DPPs and all those and judges are appointed by the governor on the recommendation of the Judicial and Legal Service Commission. And I think, to me, there is need to better supervise them. There is a need to better supervise them. Now, Sandra expressed the view on something which Justice Emma Peters said. She said, she acquitted her and made it very clear that this is not a matter she could take to the jury because it clearly cannot be sustained. And to me, once that happens, which rarely happens, I don't think it was right, and I agree with Sandra expressing a similar view, that the judge was wrong to say, although I have acquitted her, but I want now to pronounce that the DPP did their job properly. It can't be. That's a contradiction. If they came to court to prosecute a matter which you say, you are essentially saying it shouldn't have been brought at all from the very beginning. You should have known that this can't stand up as a matter of law. I think it was highly improper for the judge then to add the comment, but I think the job was done properly. What she could have done, one, if she didn't want to put the DPP in any problem, she could have just kept quiet about it. But otherwise, if she wanted to say something about it, she should have said, but DPP, why did you bring this case at all? This is what Justice Robin McMillan did in the Doctors Express case. Because when it turned out that a number of government officials were deliberately wanting to hurt a lawful business, contrary to law, and they were declaring in the emails to say, well, you know what? In fact, you see, this is a good excuse for us to clamp down on this when the business was lawful. What Justice Robin McMillan said was, look, this is absolutely wrong. You can't do this. He didn't say, but they were doing their job. No, he said, no, they crossed the line. Okay, now, I would have been okay if he had kept quiet, but I was even happier that he actually chastised them to say, look, you can't do that. Now, this problem in the judiciary is I won't say is endemic, but it is not so rare. I'll give you an example, 2 other examples. You remember at the time of the Chantel Day case, the same-sex marriage case.
Yeah.
It went to the Grand Court. Chief Justice Smelly gave this appalling judgment saying that he was going to amend the law so that it can allow same-sex marriage. I mean, that was so wrong in law. As a part-time university professor, if I set a question on that issue and a student told me that, well, the judge is entitled to amend the law, that is a failing grade. It's a D straight away because it means you don't understand the separation of powers. But anyway, the point I wanted to make is that when it was appealed to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal overruled Chief Justice Melly. And what did they say? They said, no, you've got no power to amend the law. However, we are holding that the government of the Cayman Islands was in violation of the rights of people by not giving at least a minimum, like a civil partnership possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And they were right to say that, and they did what the Constitution requires. It says whenever anything like that happens, they make a declaration of incompatibility with the Constitution, and then the legislature will decide how to remedy that breach. But what the Court of Appeal did was wrong. They went ahead to say the Cayman Islands government must enact this legislation to allow civil partnerships. And if they fail to enact it, the UK government must use an order in council to enact the law. That the Court of Appeal has no power to do. Under the Constitution, it says that if you find that the law violates the Constitution, you are supposed to make a declaration of incompatibility, and they should have stopped there. That's all.
Okay.
They should have stopped there. Do you see? But what they did, and I know that some other attorney also expressed the same view, and even some people just common sense, they said, no, you shouldn't do that. To me, this is a sign that sometimes the judges try to say things to save the skin of those people who have acted improperly. Why? Because let us imagine today you wanted to go against a DPP to say he should be removed from office for taking to court cases which are totally hopeless. Then the judge will be citing, or rather, the DPP will be citing what the judge said to say, oh, well, but the judge said that I acted properly, you know. And judges, I think, should just not do that. I will tell you in my own case, right? In my own case, the one that I have before the Court of Appeal at the moment,
right?
Without going into a lot of detail, I brought a constitutional motion. It went to the Court of Appeal. The judge in the Court of Appeal said, well, this is something that the courts can deal with, but it shouldn't come to the Court of Appeal. It should go to the Grand Court. Now, there's a reason why I took it to the Court of Appeal, but I won't get into that. But you know what the judge then did? He said, I'll refer this matter back to the Grand Court. However, I think it's a frivolous case. That's what the judge said. He says, I think it's a frivolous case. Again, a Court of Appeal judge does not do that. What he should do is just refer to the Grand Court and keep quiet. Or, if they want to say something about it, they will say, I will refrain, however, from making any comments on the merits of the case. Because being a Court of Appeal judge, I do not want to prejudice the hearing when it goes before the Grand Court. But what that judge did, Justice Sir Jack Bitson, what he did, he said it is frivolous and vexatious. So if you send it to the Grand Court and you are a higher court judge and you send it down there and you say it's frivolous and vexatious, what do you expect the lower court judge to do? They will try to just dismiss the matter. And that is one of the things that complicated my matter, because then when I took it to the Grand Court, despite the fact that the Attorney General also had said this matter is serious, it should go to the Grand Court, it should be tried, there should be a full trial. The AG also changed his mind. He said, oh, now that the judge has come back on our side, then we don't have to say that it should be tried. So they were now citing what the judge said to say it should be dismissed because this is what the judge has said. And then it went to the full Court of Appeal, it went to the Privy Council. They were still citing that. Until now, I brought it back to the Judicial Commission. It is now back before this court, which is an ad hoc judge. And those judges were practically telling me in court on about 2 or 3 of the points that I had a good case. Do you see?
Right.
That's why judges should never exceed their authority. They should never try to play this political game where they say something which they intend that somebody else should be assisted. It is totally wrong.
Mr. Balika,
But
I got to pause you for 1 second because we got
Sure.
breaking headlines that's coming out.
Okay,
good
sure.
stuff for us here, and I feel it's good for me to
Do
share.
you want me to hang up?
No, you can stay because you may want to weigh in on this.
Okay, very well.
So yeah, just afford me a minute here. Yes, we have breaking news coming in from Little Cayman. I told you Dora the Explorer was on it. And once we got aware of it, we were definitely going to share it with you. Yes, breaking news coming out of Little Cayman this evening. Her Excellency, the Governor, Mrs. Jane Owen, along with Honorable Premier Andre Ebanks and members of the NCFC cabinet visited Little Cayman today. Yes, Earth Day on the 22nd. To make a series of major environmental announcements. Yes, several of Cayman's most important national landmarks, yes, have now been formally issued protective orders. And these landmarks includes Tarpon Lake National Park in Little Cayman, the East Interior Nature Reserve in Little Cayman, Sand Key in South Sound on Grand Cayman, Duck Pond, Little Key, and the Western Mangrove Keys Marine Park in the North Sound, and an expanded Salina Nature Reserve here in Grand Cayman. So this is breaking news. And these protective orders means that these areas are now legally safeguarded, ensuring long-term conservation of some of the most ecologically sensitive and culturally sensitive significant sites in the Cayman Islands. Now, in addition to this new protections, the Premier also announced that drafting instructions are now underway to ban the importation of specified or specific single-use plastics. And this is, too, a major policy step aimed at reducing waste, protecting marine life, and supporting Cayman's border environmental and sustainability goals. Now, please note that these announcements mark a significant moment for environmental protection here in the Cayman Islands, and the timing on Earth Day underscores the government's stated commitment to conservation and long-term stewardship to our national resources. So what we will do, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to follow this story as more details become available. But there you have it. These orders now include the Tarpon Lake National Park in Little Cayman, the East Interior Nature Reserve also in Little Cayman, Sand Key in South Sound here on Grand Cayman, Duck Pond Little Key, and the Western Mangrove Keys Marine Park in North Sound, and an expanded Salina Reserve, Nature Reserve right here in Grand Cayman. So there you have it. As we get more information on this, we will definitely be sharing it with you as well. So there you have it. You can continue. What do you got to say about this? This is huge for people in the environment.
Well, for people in the environment, and I've been involved a little bit in relation to that, it is a huge thing. It is always good when you see a government like look to the future, go to Little Cayman, knowing very well that population may well expand in the near future to Little Cayman as well, to straight away say, okay, fine, this is protected and that is protected. But I think these policies must, Sabrina, be pursued together with policies on population growth. Because if you do not manage population growth, there will always be pressure to take up more land for building, and you may well find somebody come in future and say, oh yeah, okay, this is a protected part, but you know what? We have an environmental impact assessment report here. We don't think it will affect it so much. Can we build on this side and so on? And you will find that because you do not manage population growth, there will be always pressure. You will always find sometimes even some expert who is ready to write a report to say, well, although this was declared a protected part, it's not really as important as it is. I think the original report was wrong. But usually it is because there is a pressure on the population, pressure of builders and developers who want to build, and these things are going to be put under pressure. So as much as I commend the government for doing this, but they should look at what is happening, for example, on Grand Cayman, what happened to West Bay Road. or rather 7 Mile Beach. You used to be able to drive right by the beach and keep seeing the water from time to time, as you drive.
Mm-hmm.
But now, they closed the road. There was
Mm-hmm.
litigation regarding that. That litigation failed, despite the fact that in that litigation, there were some environmental issues which were raised. But what happened? Still more, they closed it. So ultimately, government has to look at these things in a holistic manner, even as they try to do these things that
But
they're
I think
doing.
it's huge because today, it being international, day,
It
and
is.
it is a milestone. This is something I think they were trying to do for Little Cayman for quite some time, and
Yes.
now it is protecting it, contrary to what other people, like I see Aliano was waiting for some different kind of sussy. This is something we should be celebrating, not, oh my gosh, the government is falling down. Oh, somebody's jumping aisle, crossing the aisle. I know you guys were looking for that, but yeah. So sorry if it's not going what you were actually expecting, but thank you for that, weighing in on that. Mr. Balika, we were talking about, you were asking about how much the accountability part on the topic that we wanted to do with the AG, right? And what
The
this,
AG,
the Auditor General, and what was stated there as of March this year, there are 249 outstanding recommendations. 249 recommendations from the Auditor General and the Public Accounts Committee, and 249. That's 249. Think about that. And in fact, 141 of them, more than half, have been sitting there for over 5 years without being fully addressed. Again, that's 5 years. And what we're seeing in this is that 5 public bodies are responsible for 57% of all of the outstanding recommendations.
Well, and those people still have their jobs. You see, this is the thing. Previously, we've talked a little bit about the extent to which, if at all, Parliament really is supervising the extent to which, like, some of these recommendations are implemented. Now, I think last time was it the Honorable Kenneth Bryan or somebody else who brought a motion to establish a number of committees? Somebody brought a motion to establish.
But yeah.
Yeah, but was it? Do you remember if the motion was withdrawn? I seem to recall that it was withdrawn after discussion with the government. That they wanted to sort of
because something was underway, or something that they were working on already to address what the essence of the motion was.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I was disappointed in a sense that it was withdrawn, but I do see how. I think when they looked at it, maybe they wanted to ensure that they examine it more. It seems to me that the government accepted that there's need for committees to be formed. This is something that me and a number of other people, including the current speaker, have spoken about before, that it is very difficult for Parliament to perform its supervisory function against the executive if it doesn't have the necessary structures, that every time you have to wait for a plenary sitting of the Legislative Assembly, and then when promises are made, there is no structured way in which you can follow up. And the committees will be part of that structure. So to the extent that I think the withdrawal of the motion is meant to, first of all, it shows that the government was ready to consider it, but they just want to give it some more detail. I think that's a good thing, because if they can get the committee system working the way it should, then these issues, like about recommendations from the Auditor General, which are not implemented, those are some of the things that the committee can do. And they can be able to meet more frequently and call the chief officers up and the ministers up to say, can you tell us why these things are not being implemented? Because one of the most disappointing things you can have in any government is not to be able to take corrective measures when they need to be corrected. Why do you put together an Auditor General's office if you are not going to follow the recommendations? But it's a problem. It means you are not being responsive to the needs. You are not improving. And it also frustrates the people who do the work to try and make those recommendations to improve the way things are done. But again, like I said, with the population growth and the environment, you have to take a holistic approach. So the accountability issue with the Auditor General you have to again look at it in a holistic approach to say, okay, it's not just that maybe they are not doing it because they don't want to do it, but maybe the structures which would facilitate that being done are not there.
And some
Really,
of the things that he highlighted, the accountability breakdown, and really he said it plain that this is what he's saying in plain language, is that it is obviously a significant breakdown in accountability process. When he feels recommendations are ignored, delayed, it becomes even harder. And this was a huge takeaway, to hold public servants accountable for how they even spend the money. And, you know, he also highlighted the increased risks of the public purse, saying that he warned that when public bodies delay acting on recommendations, the risk of fraud, waste, and misappropriation definitely goes up. It doesn't mean that fraud is happening. Please don't get me wrong. Please don't misunderstand that. But it means that conditions that allow fraud or waste to occur cannot be corrected or mitigated then. You can't pick it up quickly.
Yeah. Why do you make recommendations? You make recommendations because there are certain things that you are trying to correct. If there is a waste of money, there's no value for money for what government is spending, you want that corrected. If there is, you've just mentioned that sometimes there could be fraud, although you don't know that there's fraud, but you always manage in such a way as to avoid or prevent fraud in case it were to occur. Okay, so what it means is that you are then not delivering to the people. You are not being accountable for the way government money is being spent. You are not being accountable for the way other resources in government are being spent. And therefore, you are not performing sometimes proper service delivery because of some of these things which are happening. For example, I'm quite sure there are some applications for licenses, for permits, which are either not well scrutinized. Maybe they are scrutinized, but then the wrong decisions are taken because the resources are not there or they are not being used properly to ensure that they are conducive to the rendering of good decisions. So this is something really which I think government, again, they have to make a statement about this, Sabrina. These are things which I think even the Premier or the Minister in charge should be able to go to Parliament and explain, or the ministers in charge, because the chances are that there are a number of ministries which are involved. That's why maybe the Premier should be the one to explain what the problems are. And if the problems are there, of course, they should be explained to the Auditor General, and maybe the Auditor General can have some suggestion.
But this can also this can also have international implications, you know, because remember, we are a British overseas territory, and years of backlogs, even in our government minutes, has been stated, and hundreds of unimplemented recommendations from the Auditor General not only affects us locally, but it affects how we are even viewed externally. Because from outside, it can look like our accountability systems are not properly functioning, or in piece with in the bigger span of things, and understanding that we are a financial jurisdiction. What does that say about us? What does that say when these become very obvious? And I mean, the post holder, the position is doing their job. The post holder is doing their job.
Yeah, you see, like when I was with my Caymanian partner, when we were trying to draw legislation for the government and do some training courses, we found out, for example, I won't mention the institution concerned. There was one institution which said, "Look, we have been waiting for a certain piece of legislation to be done for 5 years." Because every time we go there, they tell us, well, financial services legislation is good priority. Every time again we go there, the next time, but you see, the tourism legislation is good priority. Now, if the problem was to find people Well, the problem was partly they said there are no people who were ready to draft legislation in the legislative drafting department. But what we had offered was that we can do that for you to try and alleviate that problem. But we were ignored. Okay, we were ignored. We did one piece of legislation, but that was it. But meanwhile, people are kept going there and waiting for legislation. Now, if money again is a problem, maybe some money is being wasted, and therefore that's why they can't hire some consultant, either us at the time or any other consultant. But those are some of the issues which ultimately the report of the Auditor General is addressing. What are the things that are suffering as a result of certain recommendations which are not being implemented? I really think that the Premier should make a statement in Parliament. And without taking you back too much to what we were discussing, I think also the Premier the Cabinet should make a statement regarding these prosecutions of people which appear not to be proper. I really think that Cabinet should come out and at the very least ask the DPP's office to draw up a policy on prosecutions.
Okay.
Because normally a policy on prosecutions, what it says a lot of things in it. But one of the fundamental things that it says is no case should ever be brought to court unless the DPP is convinced that it can be proved beyond all reasonable doubt. Okay? That is why, now, that's why you find sometimes they arrest somebody. They investigate it. Eventually, they don't take it there. Why? Because once they look at it, if it is predictable, as I think it was in this Sandra case, it was predictable that case was going to collapse. Why? Because the attempt that Sandra was trying to make, first of all, is something which you normally make anyway. You are always encouraged to settle disputes out of court if you can. Even if you want $1 million, that sometimes you should be able to agree for even $500,000. When I did the mediation course, this would have been, I don't know, around 2010 or 15. Anyway, when the mediation started in the court system, when I did the mediation course, they said, you know what, a lot of times now in different court systems, they have got side by side the court system as well as a mediation system. I can tell you, for example, in Toronto, the city of Toronto proper, they don't allow you in a civil matter, like before it goes to trial, there is mandatory mediation. They say before we spend time on us, you remember you have to put together a jury in most cases and so on. We need you to go to a mandatory mediation, and that's what they do. And so what Sandra was trying to do in that particular case was trying to do something that you are required to do anyway. But in that particular case, it was particularly strong on her side because the judge had actually asked them, can you try to see if you can settle this outside court? So she had even a double reason for trying to do that. And then still she gets charged with this blackmail matter. If there had been a policy, at least you would have been able to say, taking that matter to court was in violation of the policy. And if you wanted to go to the governor to say that the DPP has failed to exercise this function, you would refer to the policy and say the policy says that you shouldn't take a matter to court unless you are sure you can prove it beyond all reasonable doubt. That's why you find in the States, for example, you will find when they take a matter to court, they rarely lose. Why? Because they rarely take matters to court unless they're sure. Okay.
Well, I want you to leave me there because I want to try to cover exactly what this report says, what it means. We got some comments that are coming in, and I want to try to tie it all in.
Yes, great, very much. Nice talking to you again, Sabrina.
Good hearing from you. Thank you for your contribution as usual. Bye-bye. There we have it. And also we got here, that was just posted on the CMR platform. And if you were wondering what is going to be talked about tomorrow, guess what? There's breaking news again out of Little Cayman. And you will hear more on this and more tomorrow on the Cold Hard Truth, because what is being breaking here on CMR is that Little Cayman Airport is staying, and there's going to be lots of information she will be sharing with you tomorrow, so you want to log on for that. So lots of things coming out, from the preservation to all of those persons who thought that are valuable land in certain areas where sustainability is concerned on this Earth Day of 2026. Excellent news coming out of Little Cayman today, protecting certain areas. And guess what? The big talked about airport, Little Cayman Airport, is staying. Now, you got to tune in tomorrow for more on that. But again, we got a lot of stuff that keeps coming in, but I want to keep it. I know a lot of you came here for the immigration part, but this is very important that we get this out of the way, because we always talk about the elected arm and the operational arm of government. And what the Auditor General is actually flagging, that is being actually posted or highlighted in this article, is something that is just not local. From the government minutes that I alluded to earlier on, to the hundreds of unimplemented Auditor General recommendations, this just doesn't affect us internally. This affects how we are viewed externally as well. Like I said, while Ms. Belika was on, because from the outside, it can look like our accountability systems are definitely not function at the pace in which we expect them of a modern, well-regulated jurisdiction. We ain't short of laws, that's for sure. And because we are a British overseas territorial jurisdiction, the United Kingdom does have an interest in ensuring that our governance standards remain strong. So when you have numbers like this popping out, this does not mean intervention, but it does mean that the United Kingdom could raise concerns or even request more frequent updates, because the Auditor General's reports are a key part of the Constitution. And the responsibility is covering the checks and balances. I see where Johan is actually making a comment here that is definitely worth highlighting. He says the civil service departments and ministries reports to the deputy governor. That office is in charge of government departments and should be the one publicly addressing these issues. Also, the DG reports to the governor, so they are compelled to speak on the issues. I agree with you. And this is where the misunderstanding of how it works and putting the blame is a fine line, because you're hearing about the government minutes reports and all of that sort of stuff. And it's highlighted, it's in the public's domain, all of the recommendation, and you hear PAC, the committee, all of these things is why it's important for people to even understand the lingo from the beginning. There is a clear, continued misunderstanding of the operational arm of government and the elected arm of government. Yes. And this is why it is important for us to understand this is not to point the fingers, but it's to make people really understand exactly who's responsible for what. And pace is a problem. Whatever the problem is, pace, resources, and whatever the problem is, there are external implications that can impact us greatly. So yes, speaking on these issues, the floor is open for anybody, but it's in the public's domain. And speaking on them that's the problem now. Pace. They don't speak about them enough, and this is becoming a reality, and it does have implications. So I'm hoping that they do speak on them, and this is by no means showing up the government or the civil servants. We're just educating. So I'm really hoping that they can speak on them and speak on them in a form that actually everyone can understand, to be honest. The number is 936-8255 so that people can understand, because this is the problem. A lot of our people are not paying attention. And in forums like this, they come, they listen, they're hungry for it, but that's where the room is then filled, or the space is filled, by those who are willing to speak on it in layman's terms. Good evening, Johan. You're live.
Hi, good afternoon, Miss Sabrina. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm fine, thank you.
Isn't it funny I run into you by accident on a Sunday, and now
By
you're
accident.
lighting up the airwaves. You're lighting up the airwaves with a real meaningful discussion today, and good on you to highlight the reality of the situation. But I think I want to take the conversation to another level. You've served as a minister. You've served on boards. You've been a civil servant. I've had the honor of being appointed to boards, leading boards, so on and so forth. But I think what the country doesn't understand is there's a clear separation of powers between an elected official who runs a ministry,
correct,
and those that are responsible for the administrative policy and implementation of said ministries. Now, here's where the conversation will go sideways, and I won't be rude or use any profanity, but the double standards, triple standards, and sliding scale that exists is the problem, because the public would have you believe that Sabrina was a minister, and everything that went wrong at the HSA or any department in your portfolio, you are directly responsible for. However, there are chief officers that will clearly say to you, I'm sorry, Minister, you are responsible for one part of the job, but the administration, the running, and how things get implemented, that is squarely my responsibility, and you are not responsible for the direction of civil servants and the civil service, so on and so forth.
AKA their pace.
Exactly. But until we start having that conversation, because the vast majority of our voters believe that if you get elected, you basically run everything from top to bottom.
Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong. There are some ministers who control everything in their ministry from top to bottom because they have a hand-picked chief officer who will gladly do their bidding and effectively implement any and all ideas, whether they make sense or not. What we don't do is we don't hold civil servants accountable. Chiefs, deputies, you've got senior policy advisors that will, and I've seen it, that will take a position that they think is appropriate, but elected officials end up catching the stray bullet and all of the pressure from the public. And then we're having the same conversation every year since 2010 about how things are going to change and how things are going to be different. Now, I effectively operate how I operate. I make no apologies for speaking how I speak, when I speak, and how I think things should be done. But I at least have the benefit of understanding how the system works. And what has happened is the people in the civil service that have the responsibility of doing things properly, they're protected at the very top by the deputy governor. The deputy governor will see a report from the PAC, they will see an Auditor General report, and they will give a flowery sort of excuse and overview as to something will be done and this will be fixed and here are the issues. But it's the same conversation that we've been having for decades, 10, 12, 15 years, right? So my question is, how come it's always somebody on the outside who is appointed to a board, who is elected as a minister or as an MP? How come they're always the problem, but we're still having the same issues and the same reports from the Office of the Auditor General? Shouldn't that say to somebody or anybody that is looking,
it should ring some bells. Yes.
No, but the conversation is this. Mr. Manderson might be the nicest guy in the world, and I hear everybody in the civil service saying, you know, the way that he protected or they protect the service and they protect civil servants. There comes a point where people shouldn't be protected. If you are screwing up on your job and you are the subject of multiple Auditor General reports that speak to your individual performance or lack thereof and contravention of laws, policies, and so on and so forth, and you are still being afforded protection from the highest offices, then there is something wrong, because who ultimately pays for that? is me and you,
Yeah.
John and Mary,
John
taxpayer.
Public. Yes.
Okay?
And then they get angry and then they vent out their frustrations every 4 years, not realizing, as Denver says. So I'm correct. I say the administration arms of government are not doing their jobs.
But let me take it a step further. The civil services, there's nothing about it that's world class. We got some really good people, but there is no world class civil service in the Cayman Islands. That's a marketing shtick that is proven to be incorrect and misrepresented by virtue of the fact of, if we were a world class civil service, would the Auditor General be writing the same report
Over
10, 12,
and
15
over
years
and
in a row?
over again? But then, like you say, there is, we mentioned it, there's serious accountability issues then. Who holds them accountable? Yes, I know what you're going to say, the post of the DG, but then this backlog, how do you get caught up so that we don't continue to kick this can down the road? Because remember, you constantly hear it's the elected arm. It's the elected arm. That one wasn't good at their job. But hello, they haven't been returned to office. They're placed in another ministry, even if they're returned, and the problem still exists. Houston, we got a problem. Something is wrong.
Please educate the public on the area of the Constitution that it clearly defines what is the responsibility of the Deputy Governor in his administration and management of the civil service, and what are the responsibilities of elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
The way this game goes, and I'm going to speak because I don't give two tiddlywinks, whenever you have a strong personality, a strong chairman, or a group of individuals that know better and try to do better, and point out that the chief officer, deputy chief officer, or ministry representatives are failing at their job, you know what they do? They then decide you are the problem, not the person that is getting paid. How in the world can somebody who sits on a board trying to do the right thing and provide their time, their expertise, and serve the country, and it's an act of public service, at the pittance of what their hourly wages are? How is it they're the problem, but the same chief officer, deputy, policy advisor, senior ministry officials, and everybody else, they seem to keep their job, but there's never a report written about a chairman, a deputy, or a board failing or breaching laws and failing to provide recommendations? Because I have seen where and I'm just going to say this, the DG has made representations to ministers when I was chairman of certain boards that I was the problem. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what the problem is? The fact that they have bought into, I will protect the civil service no matter what. When there are 4 and 5 Auditor General reports about a chief officer, and you choose to defend that instead, you choose to attack the professional competence and management of a civilian, yet there's no report ever written about a civilian on any board or showing that they've breached anything. I have never been the subject of any of those things, but I'm the problem. Now, this is where the public need to wake up and understand. We elect people, but the system does not allow people that we elect to do their jobs because the civil servants run this thing.
Yes.
And the deputy governor, the office of the deputy governor should not be opining on certain things that they do, but they do, and they will, because we have bought into this myth that we will protect the service and the people in the service at all costs. But it's those people that are costing this country tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and have been doing so for decades. So what exactly is the point of the Office of the Auditor General writing these reports if everything is going to get a 30-second, yes, we'll look into it and we're going to do better and we're happy?
Meaning
Things
it's
are
not
as bad
enough to use those lines. False narrative, as Denver say.
It's not. It's bullshit. It's not false narrative. It's millions that get wasted. It's millions that get wasted because the civil service management and multiple governors have decided it's better to protect and cover up the real dysfunction, the poor players, the people that should not have ever been promoted to certain positions, but have. It's better to protect them than it is to get the system fixed with real action plans, timelines, guidelines, and have it so that the Auditor General isn't writing the same report over and over. And then it gets worse. If the Auditor General writes too many reports that the senior management of the civil service don't agree with, guess what happens?
They
Boy,
lose their job.
they don't get their contracts renewed, and you move them out. I applaud this Auditor
Mr. Smith,
General
Patrick, yeah, he's doing his
for
job.
having.
But I'm fearful. And caller,
But
I gotta be
they-
honest with you, the man doing his job.
Yeah, but they all have done their jobs, and the problem is, you are a good person as long as you go along with the madness and you're prepared to, not speak the truth, and you're prepared to make sure that we protect certain people and so on and so forth. I think Mr. Smith is our first Caymanian Auditor General. But that won't matter to Tiddlywinks if he continues to write reports like this, because they're going to say, you didn't learn your lesson.
But what does that say about this jurisdiction if that comes to reality, though? Who is being disenfranchised, understanding the role that position holds to the people of the Cayman Islands and their independence in holding the elected arm and the civil service accountable? What does that say?
I'm going to give you the best one that highlights the madness of the civil service. Multiple reports come out about particular chief officer. I mean, multiple reports. Governor Roper and the DG were more interested in the leaks coming out of the building instead of the content and the decisions and the observations of the Auditor General's report. How in the world are you going to be worried about where the leaks come from when some of them contribute to the leaks? Sandra Catron can call anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere, and get them. If Sandra Catron calls in at 7:30 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, 9:30 in the morning, and says, I need to speak to the DG, he's going to pick up the phone. Mm-hmm. It's happened a million times. So when I'm talking about we're going to get to the bottom of the leaks, don't get to the bottom of the leaks. Get to the bottom of the problems that have existed for 5, 10, 15 years that are causing us to waste $100 million easily on reports from consultants that have already been written, but a chief officer goes, well, we need another report telling us how to fix transport.
Or never see the light of day.
Because there's zero accountability and there's zero consequences for wasting. It's only you that ran for office, and you probably didn't have the best supporting cast in your ministry, but nobody wanted to hear that because ultimately you're not going to tell us how to do our job. But then the people that manage the civil service, you could go to them, and unless they like you or unless they own you and control you, they're not going to do anything. I've had the former Minister of Tourism tell me that the deputy governor was in a meeting speaking about me and my ability to manage affairs and lead the Cayman Islands Airport Authority. Now, in no way, shape, or form is the deputy governor or the office of the deputy governor supposed to be opining on anything political. Yet, he's there coaching them up, and the former Minister of Tourism was dumb enough, an absolute imbecile, to share that with me. And one thing about me, I don't lie, okay? And that was to cover his own ass when I basically pressed him on certain things. And that's what happens. The management of the civil service protect their sheep, and then they pretend that they're protecting the politicians. And then the politicians always have somebody to blame and go, well, it wasn't me, boy, the deputy governor. He was the one that thought that you were ill-suited and blah, 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 blah. But he doesn't get to opine on political matters. He doesn't get to opine on board appointments. He doesn't get to opine on anything that's political. But yet these conversations take place. And former Minister Sabrina, you know what I'm saying is real. Mm-hmm. I don't expect you to break privilege, but you know what I'm saying is real. Because everything I talk about, I know about. And I can tell you, this is all a shell game and a charade. And as long as you smile and, hey, how you doing? You all right? And you kiss people's ass, then they like you. But if you talk the truth, you do things properly, and you stand up and say, this not working, we can't do it like this, this will cost us money, that's a waste of time. You are the problem. Not the system, but you, one individual, are the problem. And what they want is they want to stack boards with their puppets that ask no questions, that don't say, I'm sorry, Minister, if you do that, that's going to cost us extra money that we never budgeted for, and it's going to possibly double or triple the cost of whatever the project is. And that is your sin. Yeah. Knowing how to use a calculator, seeing the danger down the road and having the temerity to speak up and say the right things, you become the problem.
Exactly.
And then
I wrote that chapter. You
administrative
realize
arm-
that, right? I wrote that chapter.
Huh?
I wrote that chapter.
Listen to me. What happened to you politically was scandalous.
Whew, it was a blessing.
The people that allowed you to be set up to fail are the same ones that go around asking, how your mama doing?
Mhm.
How you doing? Man, we miss you so much. You know why? Because you asked the right questions.
Mhm. And I
you-
was asked you if I read everything. I had a senior policy individual ask me, Minister, you read everything? And I was blown overboard because I not only read, I understood and I asked questions, and it would floor you of what I found after instructions were given based on what the collective decided on. When I read a document, there was one particular one that I asked to be changed to reflect what we had actually had decided on, and I needed that conveyed in a paper. And I asked it to be amended not once, not twice, 4 separate times till it got to the point that I used a highlighter to highlight what needed to reflect what I wanted to be said. Then I was asked, you read everything?
As you should do.
That says a lot.
Well, I'm just going to say, if people understood how politics really worked in Cayman, they would understand how people win elections and how people lose elections or how people don't get voted in. I have no qualms. I ran once. It was the biggest learning experience I've had to date because it isn't about competence.
Oh,
It
no.
isn't about doing the right thing. It's about who you're aligned with,
Yes.
how much money you got to buy votes,
Yes.
and then when the management or senior officials of the civil service don't like you or want you, they decide whether you stay or not because
Correct.
they have the ability to impact 4,500, 5,000 civil servants by a whisper campaign that effectively can damage you and stop you from having a realistic chance of winning or being reelected. And nobody, this is the dirty secret of politics. And I've reached the stage of my life where if you ask me a question, I could tell you the truth. And I could tell you people that are unsuccessful in politics or who are no longer there and former ministers, it wasn't necessarily because they were bad at their job.
Mhm.
But the game within the game is we don't like you. We don't have to listen to you because we don't report to you, and we can be protected from on high because the civil servants will protect the civil servants and the top of the pyramid will protect their people, whilst policymakers and the people that we have asked to represent us and champion our views, you are held at the mercy of a system that basically doesn't work. And I can say it isn't working because the Auditor General reports say the same thing
Mhm.
year after year, 5 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later, and what has really changed? Nothing.
Mhm.
Mr. Balico was talking about the DPP's office. There is no politician, there's no 10 politicians, there's no 19 politicians that can decide the DPP go. You know why? That's not even in your remit.
Mhm.
So thinking and saying that the public or that the politicians could or might be able to influence, that's not the case because somebody will tell you quickly. All right? I think it's section 55 is about the administration of the civil service.
Yeah, the
That is
separation of
none of your
powers.
business. There
55
you go,
and 6.
separation of
Mhm.
powers. Exactly. So your show's great, but we need to do a better job of opening up the minds of our people
I'm
and helping
trying.
them understand.
Johan, I am
Just
trying,
because-
but because you can't see the forest for the trees because it's coming out of my mouth, and I still have respect for my roles without even saying certain things. But I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep educating people. I could have gone gung-ho this evening, which we will go into the immigration regulations tomorrow. I wanted to start that this evening, but this was important to highlight this as well, because people still do not understand the separation of powers, the operational arm, and the elected arm. We just use government, the government, and lots of time it's using it out of context. like I said, this is not pointing the finger. And you alluded to something earlier on, persons who have not gotten elected, return to office, that it's predominantly and antics going on within there. It's a hybrid now, my love. That is a hybrid that is not only within there, that is also spilling out based on single member constituencies, like you rightfully say, who you align with, how much money you have in your pocket. And that now, my love, is even better once you have the right metrics to purchase that percentage of a vote that you need based on the size of these constituencies in order to be successful at the polls. So we got bigger issues. It's now a hybrid. It's not just from within.
Cayman has a lot of laws on the books that aren't followed, that aren't utilized, and we pretend that everything is perfect. Cayman's still better than many countries in the Caribbean,
by far,
without a shadow of a doubt.
By far.
But we're having a conversation about the new Auditor General writing a report which echoes everything that the last three Auditor Generals said, and yet we got world-class civil service.
Yeah.
We need the governor to do their job. We need the deputy governor to do their job and stop with the sound bites and the positivities and all the rest of that stuff, because one of these days, in the very near future, if we don't get this stuff under control, me, you, and our children are going to be paying taxes because the civil service effectively was something that grew too big, that wasn't held accountable, that wasn't cost effective, and now we are having to pay for the expensive mistakes. How many times can you ask for a consultant to give you the same report? We're getting a public transport report. Now, Minister Bryant asked for a transport report. How can we keep going back to the same thing? There's a project that starts and then we go, well, we're changing the project now, so we got to do something else and we got to get a new report for that. Why didn't you just finish and get to the stage where you got value for money that was budgeted for you? But check this out. There is no minister that can demand a chief officer, a deputy chief officer, or the head of a department to do anything because there's a separation of powers. Those decisions get taken by the management of the civil service, the management of the department, the management of the ministry, and they're the ones that are then protected because we can always blame the minister. But if you can tell me that, Minister Sabrina, this is not your job and you're talking out of turn now, this is beyond your powers, how come you can't stop the stupid, expensive things from going on? If Sabrina couldn't do it, but Johnny Brown can do it, and the next one can do it, and so on and so forth. It's a selective sort of, we're going to do the right thing, or we use excuses and we call it the right thing. And it's going to cost all of us, where all of us end up paying for the expensive mistakes and the mismanagement and the double standards that exist.
But the bigger picture here with this report is the damage internationally, the reputational damage as a whole. And you rightfully say, by far, you have to wonder if the very same ones that are blocking or slowing down, creating bottlenecks, be it by design or otherwise, lack thereof of skill set, if they realize that we're in the same country, and they and their families are going to be impacted by the level of incompetence. I can only say that.
Well, there's hope on the horizon. We have a new deputy governor.
Exactly. I was about to say that.
I think she's competent. I think she's bright. She's experienced, and she's a classy individual of high intelligence and integrity. I hope, having been in the system that long, she can see where things have gone wrong, and she now has an opportunity to fix some of those things. And I'm confident at this stage that she will address some of those things, because we cannot continue like this. Because if we do, 10 years from now, within 10 years, we are going to be paying some form of direct taxation to pay for the expenses and the wastage and the basically mismanagement of finances. I love that Caymanians are able to get a job at the civil service. I love the fact that the service is predominantly Caymanian. That's a fantastic thing, and we got some good Caymanians in management positions. But it is also the biggest expense that we have on the books. And then when you cascade that down to departments that are allowed to do the same foolishness, it's going to cost us all. So
Yeah.
instead of retiring and looking after your grandchildren, we get to be trying to figure out, I can't take my grandchildren to lunch because, I just not earning enough. And I'm 70 years old now. And I got to pay land tax now because the government has to recoup money.
You think
You see
that'll
what I'm
ever
saying?
come? But with everything that's happened geopolitically, remember, look at the price of gas right now. And we made this big statement that it's not going to go to $7, but it's pretty much there. Do you feel that topic may actually raise its head again with what we're doing right now with the raising of some of these fees, which we know are long overdue in some cases, but we're seeing where we're trying to get some of the revenues coming in. It is what it is. But do you feel the topic will eventually raise its head again about taxes here?
I think if you understand, and you've been a former member of cabinet, our budgetary process is presented to the UK. They then opine, and if they feel that, okay, well, we're not bailing you out because the UK government will not bail out the Cayman Islands government. They're not going to do that. So they will then say, we won't sign off on your budget or your proposed budget because we see that there are risks associated with that, and there needs to be more income coming into the government. And the only way for government to get more income is to levy taxes. So right now, you pay duty, but we don't really pay taxes per se. There's a custom duty and importation stuff. But I'm talking about an annual where your acre of land will run you a 4% tax fee. And I'm just saying that. And for people with money, that might mean nothing because those that come from the outside are accustomed to paying taxes. Caymanians and multi-generational Caymanians, we've never really had to encounter that. But if the government expenses are higher than the revenue, and you have to increase revenue to keep up with the machinery of managing the government, there is a certain inevitability. That's why it's important to have these conversations now, get it right, stop making excuses. And I know that I make my life difficult. I know that I rub them the wrong way, but none of them not sued me. None of them not ever sue me because I haven't said anything libelous or defamatory or done anything like that. I barely speak the truth because I can figure things out and I know how to use a calculator. And that's what pisses everybody off because you're having a real conversation. A lot of Caymanians understand what's going on, but we're afraid to speak.
That's what I'm getting
We're
at.
afraid.
We are afraid. It's only a few, and then they become the ones with the target. And the silent majority, I've always said it on the platform, the silent majority can no longer remain silent. But look here, we don't have the gumption. They don't have the fortitude, breastitude, testicular, whatever kind of fortitude. And we're not saying to come out and create riots and burning in the streets and that sort of stuff. Just let's talk about it. It shouldn't just be yourself. It shouldn't just be Siobhan. It shouldn't just be Mr. Balika or myself or Sandra or Denny. You understand what I'm saying? If we can do this and keep saying it, and those who are in the background, just like, what he's saying is true, but they're only willing to do that at those poolside parties or when we go out on a fishing trip. You understand? That not helping the masses. And then when the same politicians invite you to certain things, you're grinning up in their faces or you're just ecstatic. Everything goes away because then you're placed on a board or a council. Like, really? That's another thing.
They think that sitting on a board is a reward. You give up your time, you try to do it the right way. And if you're fortunate enough to have a good team, I had a great board, a great team. Same thing at SEMA. Honored to have served with them and try to help. But what happens is a politician is trying to tell you how this should go when they can barely read a bloody spreadsheet. How are you going to talk about the finances and what you need to do when you can't read a balance sheet? Really, truly. Like there comes a point where I don't know certain things, so I try to hush about that. But the things that I do know, that I know you don't know about, just work with me. I'm not getting embarrassed you. Just work with me. But what happens is you weren't as aggressive as some of these people who basically thought that they were the all-seeing, all-knowing. They decided they were going to listen to and they were going to have the support of the management of the civil service who was going to protect them. And therefore, they all conspired. Your own people conspired against you. Your own cabinet members conspired against you. People that run the civil service conspired against you. because you were an outsider holding people accountable.
That's okay. They did me
And
a favor.
that's not allowed.
They did
No,
me a
no.
favor.
All I'm saying is, we got to do better. And me and you don't agree on everything, but I'm telling you, your show and Sandra's show actually speaks some truth to what's really going on. And the more people that understand what's going on, the less likely we're going to be tolerant of the bullshit and effectively able to band together and say, no, that's not going to work. And if you need the evidence of why we need to work together, the Auditor General has written the same report that his 3 predecessors has written. So this is not new today.
Right.
So you don't need to like me, but it's the same song that the
Same
Auditor
song
General's office
all
is
over
singing.
again, which is why I took the chance to try and do it in a layman's terms to break it down, and without
No, you did a good job.
without getting into like emotions or being misread. I got to the point. Siobhan is calling. Do you mind if I join her?
Oh gosh, she gonna try to cuss me out now. Go ahead.
Hold on. Oops. I think I ended him. Hello. Oh boy.
Hello.
I didn't mean to cut him off. Call back. Hey,
Well,
I wanted to merge
I
the
want
call.
him to call. I want him to call back because I want to be on with him.
Yes.
But I got a chance to catch part of what Johan was saying, and
Call
Johan,
back, Johan,
please call
straight.
back.
Call back, Johan.
Please call back.
Go
What
ahead,
he
until he
said,
calls back. Then I'll
what
merge it.
he said, is exactly what I have been on ad nauseum about. You know the discussions you and I have had, and
Hold on 1
it's
minute.
so sad.
Hold on. There you go. Both. Are you hearing me?
Yep, I'm back.
Siobhan, you
Bobo,
hear me? Okay, good.
look at Johan. They got bun candles for you tonight. They gonna fix you. They gonna fix you.
Tell him to take a ticket and join the line.
I told him to pull a number. Pull a number. And like Sabrina said, the sad part about it is, and the hurtful part for me, Johan, is that how is it that we on the outside, I don't think that I love Cayman any more than them. At least I would like to believe that. But to see that we have people in there who should have our best interest at heart, who should have a vested interest in seeing the best for this country, who we can look on and say, you heard what you just said. You can't read a balance sheet. I'm willing to help you, not embarrass you. But your only goal is to help you and your friends, because the rest of us just don't matter. The rest of us just don't matter. And I will never understand it for the life of me. I will never understand that. And all I'm going to say, Johan, I coming off because I don't want to burn no candles for me, because electricity is off in West Bay already.
What?
And,
why?
And
Accident?
you done transformers blown. You done lit them up for you, me, and them.
I didn't light anybody up, and I didn't call any names, but they know who I'm talking about. And
well, I can tell you, there are some in that pig tent, and they are squealing.
Oh.
They are squealing. I'm telling you, they done gone down to that little shop, bought them black candles for you.
Well, how does phrase go? Fuck around and find out. That's the moment, because really and truly, what do we have to lose? This is the best place in the world.
For me, Johan, and I mean, feel free to say, I'd rather not say, but what do you think it is that you and I can see it, Sabrina can see it, and the few who are willing to speak up? But like Sabrina said, there are those who see it, who are happy to turn a blind eye. You said it yourself. There are people sitting on boards who don't know the minutes if they're upside down or round side up. But they're on those boards and they think it's a privilege. I am not suggesting that to be on the board. I think civic duty is incredibly important. But are you there for the right reasons, and are you doing the right thing by being on that board?
Or what does that do on the grander scheme of things, just because your representative put you on a board, that you even going to threaten them? Or if you're removed for whatever reason, you got to look at this totally
Sabrina,
different.
You have persons who are elected who are being threatened by their quote unquote handlers.
Wow.
Okay? You have elected persons.
I wouldn't understand that.
No, Siobhan, that's exactly the point, and I'm glad you made it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can say to you,
You see what you're getting me into today, Johan? I had promised I wasn't going to do this because I don't want to burn no candle for
The
me.
comments coming in saying the two bosses in the house, so speak.
I don't think I'm a boss. I just think I know what's going on, and I know that I'm afraid of anybody. Because
well, this is it. But we see it and we say it like we see it. And we truly have this country's best interest at heart. And we truly want to see the best for Cayman. And you actually understand that if we continue on this trajectory, it is going to lead us to an absolute disaster. We cannot continue like this. But I'm telling you, we may be laughing about burning candles, but I'm telling you, there are conversations that are happening with ministers who are saying, I am not working with Johan. He is just a piece of crap. I don't want to work with Siobhan because I could have the answer to the world peace. And there are some in there who simply don't want to hear it because of the messenger. Mm-hmm. And that is the reality that we are in, Johan. Mm-hmm. And
but
I think...
Siobhan, I feel comfortable with the contributions that I've made. I feel that... Sorry. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. You heard that?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel comfortable with the contributions that I've made. I know they were done with my best professional abilities and my love of country and trying to make sure that we got value for money and we did things the right way. But here's the reality. I know who is bought and paid for that is elected. I know which chief officers get money. I know which heads of departments get privileges. You better stop,
Johan.
No. Here's what I want. Anybody dumb enough to think that they're going to use me as an example, there's 10, 15 of them that I will gladly expose for being corrupt or maladministration.
But this is the assumption. But this is the assumption that people don't already know, and you know that that's not the case. You know that that's
or
not
who's
the
going to
case.
believe him? There's a big percentage.
But this is it.
Yeah, they're going to say he's just doing that because he's bitter. He's not chosen to be on a board. He lost an election. He's just an angry man. He's just ignorant.
Stop. Nope. I am all of those things. But not being on the SEMA board was my decision. I said I'm not going forward because I'm not playing their game. If being on a board prevents me from doing and saying and believing and standing up for the things that I believe in,
I will sit down. I'm with you. On that. Then I'll gladly sit down.
And all of them in cabinet that decided I am the problem, I know who pays you. I know what to get. I know y'all are deserving of proper and thorough investigations. So again, try me. If you think that you bad, if Mr. Manison is the DG who's responsible for the government and I'm the problem, Mr. Manison, the same report was written about your world-class civil service by 4 Auditor General reports, by 4 Auditor Generals. So really and truly, Johan not the problem.
Sabrina, you can mute Johan mic, please.
Johan just read all the reports.
You can mute Johan mic, please.
Go ahead, Siobhan. Talk. No, I'm not, because that's what the platform is for. People are understanding what he's saying because they're thinking that when they say, pay my water bill, pay my light bill, I need this roof, I need that paint, I need this, that it's coming out of their $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month salary now that they got $5,600 constituency allowance added on to that. But when you look at one, for the acts, and there are a lot that is not even being spoken about, that is not coming from their salaries. That is not the case. And we know during a campaign what happens.
It's not just during the campaign. During the course of in office and in cabinet.
No, I'm just highlighting. We know
support.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Johan, I heard you for a minute, and I just glad that someone else gonna get lit up and not just me.
But why are we celebrating speaking the truth, though? Why are we celebrating speaking the truth? This is the problem. We need to highlight this, but how are we going to prove it?
But understand that when persons like myself, Johan, Belika, and anybody who speaks up, I don't care who is doing it. If it was my mother and she was the elected official and she was mishandling the government's money, malfeasance, misfeasance, all the feasances that you can think. So I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing because I believe in integrity.
But
I
then
believe
there's
in
no
integrity, and
accountability.
anytime you're and accountability, and when your integrity and your actions simply no longer align with who I am, I have no problem walking away, and I have no problem saying why I'm walking away. But that is not treated. That is not treated as though. That is treated where she picked up her marbles and she wanted to have. The truth never comes out. And if it ever does, you're put in a corner, you don't get a job, you have to leave the country, and then they say, oh, angry black man syndrome, angry black woman syndrome, oh, she just mad because of this, oh, she just mad because of that. No, I'm mad because I refuse to sit by and allow you to piss away my children's future. I am mad because I refuse to allow you to piss what this country should be putting aside for future generations down the drain. I'm mad because you are supposed to be conducting yourself, and we are running a business. Cayman Inc. is a business, and it should be seen as such. And if you were doing this such in a private enterprise, your backside would be in prison. And to think that you are doing this carte blanche, cowboys and Indian style, with no persecution, no retribution, no punishment, nobody even wants to think about it. Then we have Siobhan and Johan picking up, and they're burning candles for us, and they're doing everything in their power to make our lives a little bit difficult every day of the week. He knows what I'm talking about, and he can say, well, I don't care, but that is the reality.
Hold on, Siobhan. Make him wait.
Let me say this. Everybody thinks that they are the ultimate gangster, the ultimate decision maker, and the ultimate bad person or tough guy. As long as no one impacts my family and live in the house that I live in and that I care for and responsible for, y'all can do whatever. But the minute anybody feels that they got that level of cojones to think that I'm going to sit back and allow you to take advantage, abuse, and take out the retribution on my family and loved ones because you couldn't touch me, that's when I'm going to escalate this game to another level. And at that point, I have no problems in exposing them. Whoever them is, there are many of them because
they know themselves. And they're shaking in their boots. They know themselves because they know it's only a matter of time before this gig is up. The sad part about it is, how much is it going to cost us? What is it going to cost us? Because it's costing us, and it's costing us dearly. And I don't just mean the financial burden. I don't just mean the financial burden of it. And they're having to go to their...
I'm just going to add this. It's too easy to just think that it's politicians and civil servants and senior management of the civil servants.
Hold on,
I'm talking, there's corporate Cayman play a big role in the prostituting of the system and the players. And if you're going to find somebody or investigate somebody for alleged corruption, you're going to have to start looking at well-minted individuals in the private sector and corporate Cayman who facilitate and use their means in order to control the players that are elected and non-elected in this country that have a significant say on how decisions are made. So again, my name's Renard Johan Moxham. I am not threatening anybody, but if they are that stupid to think that they can threaten, negatively impact my loved ones and my family, how the saying goes, F-A-F-O, you gotta find out what all of that is. Because I know better, I know where the bodies are buried, and I am glad to go wherever. Because it can't go to just the governor's office. The governor's office has to know who's compromised. If the governor's office have read the same Auditor General reports that I've read for the last 10, 15 years and get a summary of it, it's the same story involving some of the same people who are covering up for their people, who are protecting their people, who are benefiting or getting, and some of them are elected, and some of them work in GOAP and in departments, and they're civil servants. Okay? So
we don't even have to go as far back as 10, 15 years ago. There was an article written just this week with the Auditor General saying he's a bit annoyed
That's
the
what the show is
recommendations
about
that were
today.
put in place
That's the show.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of it. I apologize.
Mhm.
That those recommendations aren't being followed, and the whole. Let me be clear, but all of them are just throwing up big FU signs and just on about their day, business as usual. Who gives a crap? Because their lives are not being impacted, and they really don't understand the trickle down effect of the impact of what is actually happening. They don't care enough. Some of them, this is the only job they've ever had, and some of them, this is the only job they will ever have. They will ever have this. They're so stupid they would see their name on bread and eat it. Right? But for the rest of us, it doesn't work like that.
Hope has arrived in the form of a new head of the civil service. Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
I hope so, Johan.
Well, no, you got to be positive. You got to be positive about it. You got to understand that, people look at things differently, and maybe they'll be less tolerant of some of the antics and the madness that is going on.
I hope so.
Well,
I don't know a whole lot about her, and I'm grateful. And I'm grateful that she's been given an opportunity, and I genuinely believe that women will tend to get it done. And I'm rooting for Gloria. I really am. But
we all are.
As an outsider, having never worked on the inside of the civil service, however, being a key player in financial services and that industry, it pains my heart to know and see what goes on there. And it makes me wonder, are we too far gone? Are we too far gone? And for me, it's like somebody can try their might, but that is so ingrained and entrenched on the nastiness in there. I'm not sure that it's going to change. And I'm so fearful that her trying to bring about some positive change to actually have that civil service run like the world-class civil service that they say it is. I ain't calling nobody's name, but they say it is. What is she going to be up against to have that happen? Or will she just have to fall in line like everybody else? That's my fear. And at the end of the day, Caymanians are on the suffering end of their lackluster performances, and they have no real appreciation for it. You said it earlier. Civil servants are the largest expense on the books. And what we do, we just growing it bigger and bigger and bigger, whether or not they have the capacity to maintain it, to sustain it, or they can even afford it if it's even warranted. We're creating jobs for our friends because his family voted for me. We're creating departments that we still don't know what they do because somewhat Sabrina and Johan needed a job, and I just don't understand. When does the madness stop? When does the madness stop? And somebody who actually comes in, takes this bull by the horns and says, this is unnecessary. This is unnecessary, and this department needs to be done away with and try to repurpose again. Yes, they're the largest employer of Caymanians, but we have a big corporate Cayman that should be made to take on some of this burden instead of packing up work with 1,000 work permits every day to fill roles that Caymanians can do to alleviate some of the strain on the civil service as it relates to jobs and expenditures of those kinds. It's madness, and I'm not sure it'll end.
Ladies, I'm going to drop off, and I wish you guys a good night.
Thank you so much.
Sabrina, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Great show today.
Thank you. Let's continue. Yes, well, that brings us to, we got 6:56. We got 3 minutes to the end of the hour. Mr. Bond, there was an APB that was put out for you. Connie was asking for you for the past couple of days, and see, our APB is working.
See what tell you.
And you know what? Everybody's people are calling. Well, people were calling for a number of kabooms, so I'll give you guys 2.
I want to continue to not just to myself and Johan. We are just bold enough to say what a lot of people are thinking, right? But at the end of the day, this Cayman is not just for me. It's not just for me, because if it was just for me, it would look very different. I can tell you that, right? It's not just for me, and not because the quote unquote bad is not happening directly to you. It's not directly to you now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not directly to you now, but the trickle-down effect is real.
Yeah.
It is real. Just understand that there are Caymanians who have had to leave their home because they dared to speak up. They dared to say, this is not okay in this country. This is not okay. They've had to leave in order to have a life.
Mm-hmm.
That is not okay. What Johan said earlier about the big players in corporate Cayman, the minted ones, the ones who are calling all of the shots, the Pharisees of the Pharisees, and the ones who strutting around here like the chicken in the cartoon, with their big chests, with their pockets lined, and doing all sorts of madness out there. Those are the people that he is talking about. Those are the people that you and I speak about. Those are the people just who have never had a hard day in their life. And if they had, you would never know it based on their behavior. You would never know it.
How do they continue to exist if they're not actually being allowed to by those who sing a different song?
Well, Sabrina, I think it's quite simple. You alluded to part of it earlier. When somebody calls up and says, I need help paying my utility bill, it's not often that it's coming out of that salary, but it's got to come from somewhere. It's got to come from somewhere, right? And that is why my parents have always said, not all money is good money. Not all money is good money. And that is the reality, Sabrina. And you want to help your constituency and you want to do right by them. But doing right by them could be to the detriment of this country.
Exactly.
And sometimes you really got to say, this is above me. This is a matter for DFA. It just feels like dumbing under you some kind of foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
You keep them beholden.
If you're only holding your elected MPs at the highest of standards because they can meet your every personal need and fail miserably national or nationally, then you got a problem.
Sabrina,
you got a problem.
But Sabrina, that is so selfish. That thought is so selfish that you out of the 20-something thousand on the voters registration, that you could be so selfish to think that once my stomach is full, to hell with the rest.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit, the good of many outweigh the good of one. And that's always been something that I have tried to embrace. The good of many outweigh the good of one. And while, as an example, while I may not believe that giving a grant to a foreign national to come and promote Cayman, it feels like wasteful spending to me. However, I accept that there are people who are in that arena, in that area, whose expertise may far outweigh my very limited knowledge of that. And that spend that I see as frivolous, erroneous, or silly, or whatever, turns out to be to the benefit of this country. And again, the trickle-down effect has a real impact and really impacts the lives of everyday Caymanians. I give way to that, Sabrina. I give way to that, but that's not what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. We are talking about blatant maladministration, blatant misadministration, blatant malfeasance. We're talking about blatant bribery, okay? Blatant bribery that's going on out here, okay? Just understand that in the private sector, and I'll use financial services as an example, it is very clear to individuals in the sector. We go through annual training to remind us of the consequences of bribery, okay? I'm talking about the foot soldiers. I'm not talking about the ones at the top. I'm talking about foot soldiers. Yeah. We're going through training annually to remind us of the consequences of poor decisions and bribery. Yet you have people at the top of these organizations, and yes, I'm going to say it, at the top of these organizations doing all sorts of things, paying out all sorts of money, having politicians as their puppets, and we wonder why this country isn't getting any better. That's why, Sabrina. And we just happen to be bold enough, brave enough to say it. And I can't speak for Johan, but I can speak for myself. Some people would say, well, if you can't beat them, join them. My integrity doesn't allow that. When I go to my bed at night, I want to be able to close my eyes and I pray to God that I see the next day. But I don't want to have to stay up at night with my conscience bothering me, looking behind me every step I take, wondering who's coming for me or who knows. Okay? I don't want that. So guess what? I will sit in my little corner and I will continue to call out bad behavior. I will continue to talk about it. I will continue to inform the public. I will continue to make sure that Cayman and Caymanians know what is going on in this country, what they can do to help change it, what they can demand. I will continue to do that, Sabrina, because it is our right to know.
It's true.
It is our right to know. And the mere fact that I don't know what they think. They must look at Cayman as some 2x4 house, and that everything that happens in there. We are a global player in a major market. And we don't know the day, the hour. We don't know when this is going to collapse because of this kind of foolishness that is happening with the let me see if I can word this correctly. I'm going to say like what Johan said, none of them ain't going to sue me because I'm not defaming them and I'm not telling no lies on them or nothing like that. But we know that a lot of them are familiar with, acquiesced to, and are outright participating in it. We know who it is. Right? Not because we haven't come out and that don't mean that we don't know. No, we know. You understand? We know. But they should have more integrity.
Is the system there to actually hold them accountable? Is one thing to say about it, but until the system actually, the enforcers really bring certain things to them, they will be on a wild goose chase. Hunt Johan down to get us instead of looking at the bigger issues.
Yeah, but again, this is with the. And you're saying this, and let me caveat that by saying, again, you're assuming that this is isolated. Yeah. No, there. This is not isolated. And you're saying this is an assumption that Sabrina, as Minister of Health, is over here doing something in isolation by herself. No, dear. No. That's not how it is. That's not how it is. They're all very aware, and let me not say all. A good bit of them are aware. A good bit of them are turning a blind eye to it, but it is also a criminal offense to do that. It is also a criminal offense to knowingly not report those types of behaviors that you know of happening. But again, you got so many that are participating in it and doing it and getting their own share and their own cut. They're okay with turning their heads. They're okay with not calling out. Some of them will tell you, I went in there, I can hold my head up in public because I went in there the same way and I came out the same way. Matter of fact, I came out worse than I went in. Right? Did you really? Because it don't look so. It really don't look so. You understand? And I will never understand. And for me, 1 + 1 will always be 2. But for politicians, 1 + 1 equals 120. It equals 120.
Well, we are in overtime
right now. Some things just don't make sense, Sabrina. Some things honestly just don't make sense. And I'm looking on and saying, am I the only one that's saying that this don't make sense? That there's something wrong with this picture? Am I? And God forbid you say anything. That is it. Oh, well, she just mad. Oh, well, she just jealous. Jealous of what? I have my integrity. I can walk anywhere in this country because I never lied on nobody. I never stole nothing from nobody. They can't say the same thing. They can't say the same thing. You understand? And that happens every day in this bloody country. Every day in this country. And nobody, or few people speak up. Few people challenge the system, and few people walk away. Because believe me, if Johan told you plainly, He stepped down from a board because he refused to go along to get along because his integrity simply didn't allow it. This is very real, Sabrina. This is very real. This is very real when you have competent, willing, and able Caymanians who can participate at that level. But because they refuse to turn a blind eye to the blatant, illegal stuff that they know is happening, that they know is happening, that they dare say, I'm not participating in that and I'm walking away from it because my integrity doesn't allow. We're the bad ones.
Yeah.
It's because we're jealous or something that we didn't get, something that we wanted. And that's not the case, at least not for me.
Nope, it's not.
At least not for me. And for Johan, I think I can speak for him in that regard. Like he said, until it affects his household, the people that he care about in his household, you know, or whatever. But again, the trickle-down effect is real, Sabrina. The trickle-down effect is real. And, you know, it may never come to step on our children's toes directly, but we're going to start to see the impact.
Everybody's going to feel it.
We're going to start to feel it. We're going to start to, when we want to move up the corporate ladder, we could be qualified at the wazoo, and we don't get the opportunity. We don't get a call back for the interview because we just happen to have enough integrity to say, this is not okay. This is not okay. I'm not participating in this. And that is something that we should all be doing. That's something that we should all be doing. I don't think any of our parents raised us to be liars and thieves and to be okay with that kind of behavior.
Correct.
None of it. And they would be damn shamed to know, to see what behavior is happening and what some people are doing. They would be damn shamed of it. But again, the sad part about it is sometimes, Sabrina, it catches up to them, and sometimes it seems like it never does. It never does. But the lives of everyday Caymanians are being impacted because of decisions that those people are making that we have no clue. We have no idea about, okay? And that is the sad reality in this country. Just understand that people are getting money for doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing while we have children out here who don't have health insurance. Let that sink in. While we have senior citizens out here going to bed hungry, okay? While MPs are giving their employees a salary raise, while they are giving their constituency budget an increase, while taking all sorts of money from over the table, under the table, round the table, in the table, on the table. It is not okay. It is simply not okay. And the real people that are feeling the burn and the pinch and the impact have no business with what's going on, Sabrina. They don't even know. They don't even know. And that's the sad reality. That is the sad reality. And again, like I said, persons like myself and Johan who are well aware and we know where the bodies are buried. Well, but I don't know. I just want to tell that Auditor General, keep pressing, sir. Keep pressing, because I think you're on the cusp of something big.
Yeah.
Keep pressing.
I think it's just a different tone, a different feeling that is coming out of this one. And I'm hoping that by us continuing to educate the public in layman's terms, not coming across by any means political, but from a civic education point, understanding the role, what the role means for every citizen in this Cayman Islands, and the separation of the power, what that role's mandate is, how it aligns with the Constitution, that God forbid, if he continues, or if the post holder right now continues to do their job and keeping their foot on the gas, and all of a sudden they're gone, that's a problem.
But Sabrina, that is that is the reality. We see it all the time. We've seen persons within the civil service that we knew, and on the Marl Road, and I'm not talking about Cayman Marl Road, I'm talking about the proverbial Marl Road, that we would have known well, you know, Sabrina was moving and shaking, and she was trying to straighten up that department, and all of a sudden she was gone. That happened, Sabrina. That happened.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And we over here shooting in the corner.
When the problem still exists, but yet Sabrina was the problem. Sabrina's no longer there. So why are you still having the problems plus?
No. And then they pretend like there is, or they pretend like there is no problem. And like I said, they're putting They're putting band-aids on gaping wounds, putting band-aids on gaping wounds, or telling you that what you see is not what you see.
Yeah. Don't believe it.
What
Don't
you won't
believe it.
believe?
Don't fall for it.
Your lion eyes, my lion eyes,
Mm-hmm.
my lion eyes. Everybody, again, it's a conspiracy until it's not.
Yeah.
It's a conspiracy until it's not. Everybody got something against Sabrina. Nobody don't like her. It's always something. There's always something against that person because you don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
I just told y'all I would call out my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because that's the right thing to do. The right thing to do.
I got
Okay?
a comment here from a Nathan who has been very vocal, and I thank him for being so vocal. Miss Sabrina, I respect you, but please be on our side. You're talking facts, but stick with our side. Okay, thank you. Love you. Nathan, that is why your girl is not elected today, because I stuck with you guys. That is why I have not returned correct to office, because I stuck with you guys.
Burning camels for her.
Exactly, Nathan. So I will always be on your side. And that is one of the, exactly what we are talking about here today, Nathan, is what they did not like in my personality. I mean, there are other things as well that Johan alluded to, but that's water under the bridge. Look at where that blessing has landed me, that I can honestly come here with dignity and respect and educate the masses. I wouldn't be able to do this if I was elected. I wouldn't be able to bring it in a way that everybody can understand and benefit, so that we do not continue to make the same mistakes.
But Sabrina, let's think about it. Do you think it is getting through? You think?
Oh, it is.
I'm saying it in jest that they're burning candles for us. Let me tell you, there are some that think that we are how much plagues it was that the Lord sent. 10? They think that we're the 11th. They think that we're the 11th, and they cannot wait for us to shut up. They can't wait for us to go sit down and hush. They cannot wait.
They don't like that we have this space. Not all like that this space is here. Right.
An educated electorate is the best electorate.
Correct.
And if they are educated and informed, I'm not telling anybody who to vote for or what to vote for.
No.
But you have to give all of the facts, all of the information. You got to give the pros, the cons. You got to give it all.
Unbiased,
You got to give it all. And let people make a decision. But I refuse to sit idly by and watch things happen when it's. And I can tell you, I'm especially caught up when it comes to the country's money. When it comes to the public purse, I'm especially caught up. Especially when I know that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. What you getting? To whom much is given, much is required, Sabrina. To whom much is given, much is required. And every penny that comes out of the public purse should be properly accounted for. Should be properly accounted for. But it's a cowboys and Indians kind of mentality. We're spending money that we don't have on projections that we made that we don't even know are coming to fruition. And then by the end of the year, you're going to hear, well, that didn't materialize as we expected it to be. Who's going to be held accountable for the money that you spent that you didn't have? Who? Who is going to hold you accountable for doing things that you really didn't have the permission to do, that you were operating under the guise that you had the authority to do so? Who is going to do that? Who is going to call out your bad performance or your non-performance? But every month you take a paycheck. Every month you collect that.
Here's a little fact.
That government money. Every month.
Here's a fact that came out of that report is that, and we're going to have to wrap up. It says that this report showed that the backlogs is not evenly spread across government. 5 public bodies are responsible for 57% of all the outstanding recommendations. And the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development alone accounts for nearly a quarter of the entire backlog. The Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. Siobhan, break that down in
Let that sink in.
No.
Let
break
that
it down
sink
in
in.
your
The
lingo.
Ministry of Finance, and so the people that are pulling the purse strings, that's spending the country money are so deficient that the blasted report is all theirs. Is all theirs. All of the recommendations that have been made are all theirs, belonging to that department, and that department gets to decide who, how, and what money is spent. That ministry gets to decide how it's spent, what it's spent on, when it's spent. Again, out there spending proverbial money based on projections that we haven't even. Blows my mind, Sabrina. Blows my mind.
So all of these reports and recommendations, when you look at which Ministry of Finance and Development alone accounts for nearly quarter of the backlog, now you understand why the Auditor General is concerned about accountability issues. There could be issues where there could be just maladministration or mixed management and room for fraud. Room for fraud.
And let me be clear. I won't say this because I don't want to go calling my phone. I don't want to hear no yaya later foolishness. I and the now Minister of Finance, Honorable Ralston Angley, from what I recall, I glimpsed the report. These aren't things that happened under his
this is systemic. No, it says it goes way
these
back.
Are long-standing.
Yeah.
These are long-standing, as my dearly departed grandma would say, from Methuselah donkey walk the earth. Okay? But the reality is, it now falls within his remit.
But the thing is,
and it is a big task. It is a big task, and it is a big ask. Having been
in a ministerial positions, when I realized how behind the Ministry of Health specifically was in their reports, I asked, well, why can't I then put forward anything that comes during my tenure, understanding the implications it would appear to have on me? I was told that's not how it works. You got to deal with a backlog before you actually come forward. So there will be reports in there, possibly from the Ministry of Health, maybe that you will not hear, about for long after my days there, of course, is done. A year is the 30th of April since the last election. It's already a year. And there are reports that are outstanding for years. When you look at all of the 4 years, 3.5, whatever time I was there as a minister, I didn't have the privilege of giving you those true numbers during my time, because I couldn't bring those reports forward.
That is the reality of politics as we know it. Mm-hmm. But again, it's now at the foot of Minister Angley. It is now his responsibility.
And shared equally by the civil service, because our ministers can fund them, but they cannot control the pace. And if it is expertise that they need, it is shared responsibility.
But Sabrina, in the private sector, and I don't care whose feelings I hurt tonight, feelings are not facts, okay? Mm-hmm. Feelings are just that. You're allowed to feel any way you want to feel. Some days I wake up, I feel like I want to be a tree. Okay? Right? Mm-hmm. The reality is, if some of these things and some of this non-performance, lack of performance, underperformance, no performance was occurring, and these persons were operating in the private sector, they would be walked out of those jobs.
Oh, by far.
They would be walked out of those roles. And I'm going to tell you right now, the mere fact that, I, as a sitting minister, and I understand the separation, but I can tell you what, I ain't nobody dragging their foot on my watch. Ain't nobody, because
you don't have that control unless you have a chief officer is beating the same drum as you, or like as Johan alluded to, if they're on your side. Some of them just do not understand. Not all the ministries are performing at the same level and standards. It is just a fact.
No, they're not,
and this is by no means shooting down any individual. Please get your feelings in check. This is facts.
I think that we understand that.
Yeah.
I think that Sabrina, I think a lot of it is also very blatant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have visited the government building, and I'm talking about front-facing, customer-serving individuals sitting down like they are at Mango Tree on a Friday night for half an hour, sprawled out on the front line on their phones as if they're in their houses. Those things matter, Sabrina.
Mm-hmm.
Those things matter. Okay? And if you can't correct those small things, I'm sorry. If you, as the Minister of Health, are telling me that you could walk in, for whatever reason, I don't care if you were there for your buckle or you were there for 100 meetings. If you're telling me that you, as the Minister of Health, could walk into that hospital and see something that just ain't look too right, and you wouldn't say, if that nurse is out there doing foolishness and it's blatant, you're telling me that you're not going to say to her, come here, fix your uniform, that don't look right. That's what you're telling me? Because you don't have the capacity or you don't have the authority. But I can tell you what, they would have to fire me.
Mm-hmm.
They would have to fire me. Because you represent me and you represent my ministry, and you're going to do a good job or you're going to do a good job outside. Because it ain't going to be in here.
It all depends.
It's going to be in here.
It all depends, and that is just the base.
But
That's interfering. But then you could get into the feelings of the board of directors as well. Well, why didn't you bring that to the attention of the board? And then the board is not responsible for day-to-day operations. Let me tell you something. We need an entire week seminar on this just to educate the public and give real-life examples.
A week seminar? No, we don't need a week seminar. We need to take them all. Get one big, giant cement mixer, toss them up, and turn them out.
No, but what we need to do is educate the people.
Sabrina.
Siobhan, we have to educate the people, because this is where, when you're making utterances, making decisions
Sabrina,
from
when the general sentiment is that civil servants can't be fired. Nobody can speak to civil servants. I can't confirm or validate this, but I was told that I was giving you a real life example, that a minister said to somebody kind of walking through their department and said, "Yo, that don't look good. You need to straighten up. Come off of your phone. Come off of your phone." And that person looked at them like a year before Cow had looked at a calf.
Yep.
I can tell you, they would have had to rake me to the high heavens, because I was going to walk them out of their job that day. I was walking them straight to HR and tell them, do what they got to do, because she can't be here. She can't be here. No, they would have had to do whatever they wanted with me, Sabrina. But
that
again,
isn't how it works.
Accountability.
You're not allowed to do that.
Good for you. Good for you. Good.
If you follow the lines and you play by the rules, you are. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I can sleep at night, though. I can sleep at night, and people are now realizing it, because even those who have come after me are identifying I was not overreacting.
Sabrina, but you are sleeping at night, and you can say, I did my job with the utmost integrity.
Yes.
But people who don't understand the intricacies of it and the true operation of how it works truly believe that Sabrina had the capacity to tell Siobhan her nursing uniform was too short and she couldn't wear a pink bonnet underneath her white uniform because it was not looking good. That's a very exaggerated example. But
no, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
those are the realities of what's going on, and I'm sorry.
Based on the structure, based on the separation of powers.
If I cannot say to somebody who is causing hell in my ministry, look here, you got to shape up or you gonna come out, Sabrina.
But that's not my role. That's not the role of the minister.
But that is the problem, Sabrina. That is the problem. That is the problem. You got to sit in a car. Yeah. You got to sit in the car, and you're not gonna tell your driver, look, you need to slow this car down because he worked for the protocol office. Well, that's lunacy.
No, that's a different. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's far fetched.
Yeah. Effectively, they are driving the proverbial car. Understand that they are the executioners of what the minister has determined to be what is he or she has planned for their ministry. That person is executing that, and you not to support Sabrina because you are a fan of Siobhan, and she's the minister, and you can do everything or not do anything because you didn't support Sabrina, you gotta go. You have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And if Sabrina sits down and allows that person to bring her ministry to disrepute, well, she's equal as fool. She is equal as fool. And you can tell me all day long as this day is long. That's not our job. That's not our job. If we were doing our jobs, we wouldn't be in the mess that we was in. But maybe some days you got to do somebody else's.
I just think
maybe some days you have to do somebody else's.
What is happening is that every 4 years, the person that is elected is only there for a time. And based on how the Cayman structure is set up, but people need to understand.
We can't continue to operate with this zero accountability. Well, I can't say nothing to them. Look at where that's gotten us.
Well, just give it some time. We're having a new DG. Let's give it some time.
Let's not just think about it in that sense, but just think about it from a community perspective. Because I like to bring real world examples into it. Think about a time when you could be walking home from school and doing something naughty, and someone that you didn't even know said to you, "Look here, put that down, put that rock down, stop pelting them cars." You had to put that rock down and straighten up.
Now you get 2 fire bombs at you.
That's what I'm talking about.
And the parents will come and beat you up for actually trying to hold.
I'm the minister. I'm the minister of health. And I go in and I see my nurse doing something ridiculous. And I'm not going to say to her, come here, Sabrina. That's not okay. Don't be doing that. And she going to want to report me. She could report me to the heavens. She could report me to the heavens, and I will stand by my position. I will stand by my position because of what I did. They represent me. They represent my ministry, and they are there.
But it's not the true reality of how the system is designed. It's not the true reality of how the system is designed. Now, I'm not telling you.
Well, one of us. Well, guess what? The people voted for one of us, and it wasn't you. It wasn't you. So one of us going to have to go.
But internally, the system isn't set up to operate that way. That's just that. But I'm going to ask you to leave me there because we went over by half hour.
See what I tell you?
It's
we here for a good time, not a long time.
Exactly.
We're
going to continue. We're going to continue. We're going to continue because tomorrow I'm really going to break down the regulations for the various immigration and let you know, because right now under the special economic zone, I came across it in one of the regulations that their fees have pretty much been one flat fee now for anybody who's in the special economic zone. And I got some basic statistics as to how much money government could be losing from that. But understanding the purpose of the special economic zone, but everybody else who's outside the zone is paying these fees. So that's something that is in the new regulations.
To say this, but to leave it there again, follow the money. Follow the money. Follow who is benefiting from it. Follow whose friend is up in there. Follow whose large brother, large sister, large mother, who's up in there. Why those things haven't been touched? Because let me tell you something. I'm an ecumenical abuser. Everybody getting swept. Everybody is getting swept. We're not touching this. We're not touching that because that's going to affect Sabrina. That's going to affect Sabrina's brother. I don't care. I don't care. Like what Johan said. SAFO. This is madness.
Anyhow, my love.
Absolute lunacy. I'll leave you there.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to the continued discussions as we uncover and definitely look and take deep dives into the new regulations that will be coming into force on May 1st. So I welcome you all back, of course. Thank you so much, Siobhan. And somebody was asking, Siobhan, if you could go on the link below and just spell your name, because we got all different types of spelling for your name, but we all know who you are or who they're referring to. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for sticking with me this evening. Thank you for commenting and all your contributions. My humble apologies because we didn't get into the immigration element of it that I promised I wanted to start today, but I can assure you we will go into those tomorrow, starting with them one at a time. Now, some of the regulations, like the temporary work permit ones and the business visitors, I think that one is a little shorter. And then there's about the Cayman protection. I think Miss Shelmer or someone was trying to call me. Someone was calling. Oh gosh, let me see if I can steal another little 5 minutes, because she'll tell me about my CNSPRE if I don't actually entertain her. Oh God. Let's see. Let me make sure. I hope this is the right number. Nope. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyhow, that comes to the end of today's episode. I want to thank you all again for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow as we delve into the immigration regulations that comes into force on May 1st. Please do have a good evening. God bless. Love you lots.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.